so at first I didn't want to make a video about this. I assumed people talked about it to death already, and from the IMDb score I can tell people aren't all that happy about it. But then I saw it, and I didn't take my blood pressure medication, so here we go.
I'm Mulan. I will bring honor to us all.
From the start, this movie made me think, how can an animated movie be more realistic than a live action one? This is ridiculous. Mulan does things like this from the start. In fact, she does more in the first 5 minutes of the movie. It's a wall-walking, pole-hopping, shark-jumping mess from the get-go. In the original, she was shown to be intelligent and inventive, but lacking in social skills. And of course, she was also lacking in martial skills because, well, she was a woman, not trained for war. Now she's the fucking Monkey King. What's the point of training now? She's already far exceeding the qualities of any normal warrior. She's the greatest warrior alive without even training. Hell yeah, go kill the Huns. She could probably do it single-handedly. If I had the Monkey King as my child, I would be pissed if he left me to go to war. Useless bum, go save your dad. In the original, she was shown to be just a normal girl, risking her life for her father and family. Honestly, a great daughter any father would be honored of having. From the start, this character is treated as the most important person, even stealing scenes that didn't belong to her in the original, like those of her mother and grandmother. And why not? She is God after all. The dialogue sucks now, especially if you know the original lines. The wording they use feels wrong and clumsy by comparison. For example, when she leaves and her father and mother find out, the dialogue goes like this. You must stop her. If I expose her, my own people will kill her. However, in the original, it goes like this. You must go after her. She could be killed. If I go after her, she will be. I know, my deliveries are horrendous, but it's consistent in its horribleness, so it works to prove my point. Which sounds better to you? Which has the bigger impact? And yes, I said both of them, even though I can play the original, because I wanted it to be as fair of a comparison as possible, with the actors not playing a role, just the words. Or just check this scene out from the original.
My, what beautiful blossoms we have this year. But look, this one's late. But I'll bet that when it blooms, it will be the most beautiful of all.
That's some nice dialogue, with double meaning and everything. If you're expecting anything of the sorts in the new movie, then you're insane. Also, her decision to go to war instead of her father now feels rushed despite the extra runtime, because before, we got to see her reflecting on the possibility of losing her father and what it would mean not only for her, but for her entire family. Thanks to scenes like this, we got to really see her emote. She wants to save her family and she will bring honor to it in her own way. This whole scene hits you right in the feelings. How many emotions do you feel when watching this scene? It's incredible. Honor, duty, love for her family, fear, determination. All of these emotions we got from one well-scripted scene in the original. It still gives me goosebumps to this day. Made me root for her 100%. Now we get this emotionless block of wood, with the emotional range similar to that of Rey from Star Wars.
Loyal, brave, and true.
You don't have to spell everything for the audience. Let us discover stuff on our own, rewatches. Guess they knew no one will rewatch this shit. Back to the scene from the original, I've even heard that her whispering to the horse was actually in Chinese. If you look at her mouth, that's a nice Easter egg. Oh, and why aren't there no songs in this? Who thought that was a good idea? They knew they'd fuck them up, so they just gave up. Good. But if that's the case, how can this movie even compete with the original? That scene had one of the most exhilarating themes ever. And what about famous songs like the Reflection song or the I'll Make a Man Out of You song? Themes of discovering and accepting yourself and of bettering ourselves. I just can't do them justice. I swear, I played these songs so many times just for this video, my neighbors are probably starting to have some weird ideas about me. I honestly urge you to listen to these songs, pause the video and go listen to them. And come back, damn it. The new movie just can't compete. Oh, but it's meant to be its own thing. What? How? Why? What's the point? I'll tell you what the point is. It's money. Heartless, cold hard money. Disney has run out of ideas and they're just rehashing the old stuff. And we all know it. And it's clearly banking on the original, but with no love for it. No understanding, just pumping out this heartless shit for money. It hurts. It honestly hurts. Just stop. You're playing with our treasured memories, you bastards. All in the name of money and politics. And our society suffers for it. I need some Mushu. When is he gonna show up? What? No Mushu? We get a phoenix? A phoenix? Really? What happened to Mushu? Now we get this thing? Will it drop the sorting hat? Hello! Why did they replace Mushu? Everybody loved that guy. Is that why you replaced him? He was too popular, so you needed to axe him off from your movie? Just to focus on this imposter? Instead we get this Phoenix, which I think appears 2 times during the whole movie and does absolutely nothing. So I guess comedy is out the window too now that Mushu is gone.
Tiny.
Of course. I'm travel size for your convenience. If I was my real size, your cow here would die of fright. Down, Bessie.
Oh, but we have really awkward laughter from time to time, just to represent comedy. How perfectly despotic of your movie. Speaking of which, I wonder how the Chinese audience received this movie. It tries to cater to them, or at least China, yet it insults their traditions. By the way, I've heard that they shot some of these scenes next to an internment camp. Classy. And this imposter can give Ray a run for her money when it comes to the range of emotions. Brick, wood, sanding paper. At one point she's being offered help from a fellow soldier and she reacts like he spat on her food. She's being offered help and camaraderie and she threatens the guy with a sword. What is Disney trying to tell us here? That women are unfeeling and aggressive robots? I guess so. Yeah, that's what I'm getting on my instruments. Oh, but you don't get it, she's acting like a guy. No, she's not, she's acting like a sociopath. In the original, she was a woman who had to go through hardships in order to learn and develop. This is why you needed Mushu. He was the one giving the bad advice on how to behave, and it was funny. She wasn't a warrior from the start, and she didn't know how to react to this new environment, only having Mushu to help her out. Not too successfully, I might add. Now, she's already developed, at least for Terminator standards, so she'll learn nothing, including how to behave as a human. She's just like all the other robot female leads we got from Disney in recent years. You know, I have a dick, and I'm not automatically a warrior because of it. And when I watched the original, I was a kid, and I could easily put myself in her shoes. I wouldn't know how to do all these things. I would get my ass handed to me, so I can sympathize with her predicament. She felt real, she wasn't magical, she was human. Yes, a cartoon character felt more human than an actual human. She wanted to protect her family and risked everything to do so, ending up in situations where she's over her head, and being female only made things worse. Yeah, that's a good story. And it didn't have to steal from men, making them useless just so Mulan Ray can seem greater. Again, what's the point of the training now? In the other movie, it played a vital role in establishing her character. Now she's already better, faster, smarter and quicker than her male counterparts. The original allowed her to grow and match the men in skill in time, showing that despite the odds, with wit and perseverance she can rise up to the challenge. A lesson worth learning by both boys and girls. Instead, what is this movie trying to teach us? That women are awesome? Why do you need to be told that? Do you not know that? Do you need Disney to hammer you over the head with this message over and over again until your mind cracks like one of those eggs in those old drug PSAs? But it's for little girls all over the world. Oh? Who is teaching their daughters that they're not awesome? If that's the case, call child services, not freaking Disney. These lizard brain fucks can't teach us to be human to each other. Maybe it's for China. Is Disney trying to send a message to China? Nah, no way, they're far too cowardly and stupid for that. This is just incompetent writing by people who really want to say something important, but they're too late. It was already said in better ways by far better movies of the past. You know, like Mulan, the original movie. These people really want to be heroes in a historical movement, like first and second wave feminism and the civil rights movement, but they were born too fucking late, in a time when these aren't issues anymore, yet they still try to enforce themselves upon us and our culture. Sorry, you can't be in the forefront of a liberation movement, and, well...
Everything you're doing is bad. I want you to know this.
And what's the point of having a male villain when the actual threat is from his woman sidekick? In the original, it was this tiny woman against this huge-ass gorilla of a man, a sort of like David and Goliath of a fight. She had to use her wit and outsmart him in order to beat him. Now he's weak, relying on the magic of this woman. She's the real enemy, the real threat. This movie suffers from the Star Wars female character syndrome, where every woman is strong and every man is useless. Can't you just tell they're made by the same company? And why? Just to show that men are incompetent? Or evil and incompetent? And always relying on women? Again, stealing from men doesn't make women stronger. A strong woman isn't a man. You don't make a strong woman character by just copy-pasting roles of men but giving them a vagina. All you're saying with this is that in order for a woman to be strong, she needs to be like a man. And that's bullshit. First, because it's wrong. Secondly, because it's an impossible goal. A strong woman, or man for that matter, finds her own way. She has her own strengths. Remember the original? The moment she decides she will do something about it? That's strength. Real strength. Even now when I watch that montage, it gives me goosebumps. It's so badass. For me, it's one of the most badass character moments out there, on par with any of the best moments from any male characters. A good character inspires everyone, no matter the junk between their legs. Just in that short moment, she shows numerous traits of a strong character. These alien writers really need to reflect on the qualities of humans that we as humans find desirable: strength, courage, and the wisdom to use them.
Make a note of this.
What is strength without weakness? Am I strong if I easily bear something which you cannot? For me, a show of strength is to do something which is hard even for me. Pain, grit, the wavering of my soul as I push myself to the end, that is strength. Mulan is strong from start to finish, and she never wavers. Other than the bucket scene, but I'll get to that in a moment. How about courage? What is courage without fear? If I don't fear it, how can I show courage? Courage is when you do something despite the fear, in spite of it. The sickening feeling in your stomach, the rapid heartbeat, you're shaking, knowing you might fail. Your inner demons are tempting you to back down, yet you jump, you dive, you rush in, being a burning building or into darkness itself. That is courage. We even get a quote from Mulan herself where she says, "There is no courage without fear." Yes, it's true, all while showing no fear and telling the men that she will protect them. Oh, but her hand was shaking. Yeah, probably even the writers noticed how absurd this whole thing is. I swear, that's the only time this plank of wood showed any signs of weakness, and it was 2 seconds long. Finally, what is wisdom without foolishness? It would be like old age without youth. How would you know that you know nothing if you didn't get the time to be proven wrong? Wisdom is knowing when to persevere, but also when to stop, and when strength and courage is not enough, wisdom might show you the way. Here, both of them start naive, but where one trains and grows as a character and learns how to use her skills, the other was perfect from the start, and all she learned was not to hide her awesomeness. Characters like this are never wrong, they're always perfect, from Rey to this imposter Mulan. Why? Because they're already shaped into perfection by the writers. There is no challenge which they cannot face. And speaking of challenges, in the original there was the challenge to climb the pole with those 2 weights, something which was impossible if you only relied on raw strength. It is here we are shown that Mulan doesn't rely on just strength, but also the intelligence to use that strength in the right way. Now we have the carrying buckets up a mountain challenge, which in the original was just used for strength and endurance training. Now we have her just outperforming her male counterparts in a challenge of strength. It's just silly. We all know those buckets are empty or being helped by someone off screen. Just seeing this tells me I'm stronger than her. It's ridiculous. In the original, she had to work hard to be able to surpass the men in performance, but also get their respect. Respect is earned, movie, and sometimes you never get it, and you can't demand it, and that is why this is repulsive to so many people. We are feeling animals, and we know when something is off. We can feel it. This is why the original worked. She earned her skills and the respect of the men who gave her shit at first. That's why movies like G.I. Jane work. You see that she's fighting an uphill battle and you want her to succeed. Instead, this perfect character shows up and just excels at everything she does. Makes me wish she trips, falls and eats a mouth of pebbles. I don't care if she succeeds. In fact, by comparison, the main bad guy feels like the underdog. I want him to succeed. How are people from our reality expected to take this character serious? How are we to respect her? It's not even executed properly. The 2 challenges don't even work the same way from a physical perspective. Having that stick on your back while climbing a mountain requires strength and most of all endurance. Carrying buckets like this requires inhuman joints designed by the gods. In the original, she went through hell and built her endurance, and now she's able to do this. But holding buckets like this for an extended period of time is impossible, even for a strong man, let alone a tiny woman with stick figure arms. And I get what this movie is trying to tell us, that a woman can do anything a man can do. Well, Let's talk about that. So in an encounter, strength and skill play a huge role. However, we can see that women have a natural hard cap to their strength level. That's why we separate women and men in sports. If we didn't do that, we would only have men in sports. So what's left? How can a woman level the playing field, at least outside the octagon? Well, she can enhance her skill by training, like in the original. She worked her butt off in that one. She even gets a black eye. God damn, she's a trooper. And we can see her improve. All that hard work and pain resulted in a trained woman able to go toe to toe with a man. Not only that, she's intelligent and she succeeds in something where pure strength is not enough. Unfortunately, this movie doesn't want to show us that women can be unskilled, so there is nothing to train or learn. She already knows the skills and performs better than any man. And how about adding a whole new dimension with wisdom, knowing when to fight and when to employ a more diplomatic approach? It's 2020, we're not interested in playing to the strengths of women. Instead, the mentality here is to force women to compete with men on the same traits. Sabotaging, in my opinion, the very strengths of women. It puts pressure on women to succeed at the same things as men in the same way as men. All while demonizing masculinity, confusing shit, be like men while hating men. If I were a little girl growing up being taught this crap from my culture, I'd be pissed and resentful as an adult. I'd think to myself, I can't carry fucking buckets full of water like that while climbing a mountain. I can't fight like that or do any of these things. Am I weak? Is there something wrong with me? No. There's nothing wrong with you. You need training and you need to understand your strengths and weaknesses. What's wrong is Disney and this mentality that we're all the same and we need to succeed at the same things in the same ways and never play to your strengths. A horrible lesson for boys and girls. When these lizard brain alien fucks hear this, they always point towards classic movies with very strong physical male characters and go, see, what about that? Isn't that the same thing? No, it's not. In Predator, for example, Arnold is indeed very strong, sure, but compared to the Predator, his strength means nothing. So what does he do? Well, he learns, he adapts, and manages to win an uphill battle, thanks to his skills. If he'd just go there, bitch slap the Predator and gets to the chopper, the movie would suck. Same like this movie. What about Rambo? Even though he is strong and very skilled, he is lacking in social skills and is mentally scarred from what happened in Vietnam, so he goes crazy. That's a really good character actually. It shows that strength and skill aren't everything. You can still be vulnerable despite them. As for the dumber ones that came after, we all know they were dumb. But this movie is pretending to be more, to have a message. It dares to challenge the original, and it fails miserably at it. The dialogue sucks in this movie, by the way. Traditional character development? Fuck that. Annoying cliches like when someone wants to say something really important but is constantly being interrupted by the other person? More of that, please. Keep fighting the cliches that work and keep bombarding us with the shit that doesn't. Way to go, Disney. The big battle follows somewhat the original one, following the cues of the strategic mastermind who organized the Winterfell defensive. However, this time Mulan fights the witch, who, now that I think about it, yeah, turns into a hawk. And there was a hawk in the original movie, which I completely forgot about, probably because the Mongols and the Huns had them as pets. Thanks, Ghost of Tsushima, for actually teaching me something. And I have to say, this whole battle looked really Roman to me. They even had the testudo and checkerboard formation and movement. This really didn't feel Chinese at all. But I might be wrong, maybe they did the same things, I don't know. It doesn't even matter that much, as almost the same things happen as in the original, though more contrived and less logical. Of course! This time the Huns fire the shot that starts the avalanche. And, if you watch the movie, the projectile and angle don't even make sense. Why would they fire into the mountain when she was right there behind a rock? And I know it sounds like I'm nitpicking, but bad execution really starts to bother me after a while. I'm fine with transitioning once or twice to shots that don't make sense, but when half the movie is shot in a nonsensical fashion, it really becomes obvious. And yes, I am more forgiving to an animated movie when it comes to disconnected scenes, but oddly enough, the live action movie has more of them, by a wide margin. Anyways, in the original movie, Mulan got hurt, and the men found out that she was a woman when she was being taken care of. However, this time Mulan ousts herself to the men as being a woman. The commander banishes her, nice guy, but she asks for death. Wait, what? Why? It just doesn't make any sense. When did she become a zealot willing to die for a rule? She's a rule breaker, for fuck's sake. She wants to see her family again, the family she is currently fighting to protect. Do these people even understand the character? That whole scene was weird. I'm telling you, this script is written by dead-brain lizard people who simply don't understand the character. She doesn't want to die. I don't think she would fight the decision if she was sentenced to be executed, but she wouldn't fucking ask for it. In the original, she explains it was the only way to save her family and father, something that resonates with Shang, who just lost his father in the previous scene, and who knows how her bravery saved him and his men, so he can't bring himself to kill her. It's a good character building moment for both him and her. And speaking of Shang, whatever happened to him? I guess we can't have a competent male leader in 2020. It might just detract from the awesome powers of the Mulan imposter. Again, lizard people. The final showdown also doesn't make a whole lot of sense. In the original, the Huns snuck close to the Emperor during the night celebration. Now, everything takes place during the day just because the Emperor decides to go out and fight the Huns. And the normal army is stuck fighting the Hun army, or what's left of it, which really feels one-sided. It's like 10 Huns against a small battalion. Meanwhile, the Emperor gets drawn into this abandoned construction site. I don't know, man, it just feels weird. It's like they drew inspiration from the second Terminator and removed all the coolness from it. Then Hawk Lady sacrifices herself to save Mulan, realizing that they're both fighting the same thing, the patriarchy. Then Mulan fights the main bad guy, whatever the fuck his name is, and they have to really tone down Mulan's abilities just to make this fight feel evenly matched. Talk about oppressing women. It still feels one-sided. We all know she's way stronger and way faster and smarter than him, so this is just her playing with her food. She beats him, is praised by the Emperor, and then goes back home, where she receives a replacement sword from the Emperor himself, making everybody realize just how great she always was. Ugh, I think I'm gonna be sick.
Excuse me, I gotta go to the can.
Remember in the original, when she brings all those gifts to her father to show her accomplishments, honoring the Fa family, which was always her intentions? She didn't want glory for herself, she just wanted to save her father. And then her grandmother goes,
Great, she brings home a sword. If you ask me, she should have brought home a man.
Excuse me.
yeah, remember the whole finding a match? Well, it's proven she actually did find a match.
Does Fa Mulan live here?
Would you like to stay for dinner?
Would you like to stay forever?
So what's the message there? Well, she manages to find someone in her own way, not with some dumb matchmaker's help, but actually by her own actions. In the live action movie, well, I guess romance is an outdated concept, and strong women don't need love. How is a movie from 98 have a more positive life lesson than something from 2020? Why am I surprised? Well, it's because it didn't focus on social politics, but rather on human nature. It was free to have a vulnerable protagonist that went on an adventure and grew on her own path. It was a good and innocent story with good morals, family, honor, and self-discovery, and if I'll ever have kids of my own, I can recommend the original knowing that they'll be in good hands, Mulan being a good role model for both men and women. Meanwhile, this 2020 trash is just that. Trash that wants to say something important but fails and instead manages to damage the original message. Is there anything left from the original animated movies that these uninspired hacks haven't soiled with the live action remake? Stop remaking these classic movies and come up with something new. Hire new people willing to enable to create new things and not leech off the past. Or how about this? Go back to animating classical stories. There are still a ton of such stories out there that are worthy of telling. As for this one, it's simply the worst. And that's saying something. I wouldn't recommend this to a dog. I wouldn't want it to get brain damage.
Dishonor! Dishonor on your whole family! Make a note of this. Dishonor on you! Dishonor on your cow!
Hopefully, it will be forgotten as trash should be, while the original will continue to be a treasured classic for generations to come. That's it. These are my thoughts on this mess. Thank you for listening to me ranting. If you got this far, I really do appreciate it. Thank you and have a nice day.